Welcome to the Collector Cave, and today we have a review of Hasbro Marvel Legends Hawkeye with his Sky Cycle, and this is under the packaging Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest. And this again is a couple years old, and a little backstory because this isn't just about reviews. I enjoy nostalgia. When I was a kid, I picked this up, and I still have it to this day. It was a compilation of a run of Hawkeye comics. I think the first time he had a solo series, it was like from like 83, but this has got a copyright of 88. So I was about 12 years old when I got this. And I still remember going to the comic shop and picking this up because I had this thing for bows and arrows and Robin Hood. And when I saw this guy here in this cool costume with the bow, Mockingbird, and then he has this Sky Cycle in this series. I thought it was one of the coolest things. I read this thing so much as a kid. I'm glad I still have it. There's a picture of him with the Sky Cycle. But I was so glad to have this. And I love classic looks. The 80s looks for me is classic because I grew up in that time period of these figures, these characters. And so, I stopped collecting Marvel Legends some years ago. And here I am reviewing a bunch of Marvel Legends lately, but it's cool stuff that I really like, and it's been on sale. Like this thing was $26 on Big Bad Toy Store. It's since sold out. I've had it for a couple weeks now, but it normally is $50, and I'm not going to drop $50 for a Marvel Legends figure for the most part. But for one of my favorite characters and the classic look for $26. And to kind of build out my lineup of classic looking Marvel characters, I absolutely love that I have this. Again, nostalgia plays a big factor for my collecting, and probably a lot of you as well. But to get into this, there's a picture of one of the panels from that comic I just showed you. There's Hawkeye in his classic getup with his Sky Cycle. This is for ages 4 and over because it's got some small parts, so no one around that age below should have that. And this is another classic shot of Clint, Marvel Legends, and in the back it just kind of shows you what he comes with. He comes with the bow, a couple hands, extra hands, an arrow, and then of course the quiver. And then the Sky Cycle, which comes with a cool stand. I think we've seen this stand before with like the speeder bike from Star Wars. But some nice packaging. Again, this is packaging when they were not doing any type of plastic, so it's gonna be all cardboard inside. But let's get this thing opened up and take a closer look. Okay, and just so you guys can see, this is the packaging and what it looks like. Again, they went away from plastic, which I get is, it's better for the environment. But yeah, so it just doesn't look as nice set inside this, but you get a bunch. Here's the bow, his quiver. So I'll get this stuff all unpackaged and we'll take a closer look. All right, here's Hawkeye and his Sky Cycle and everything he comes with. I would use caution if you guys open this because this arrow was in its own little package behind the figure in my box, and it could have easily been missed. So just make sure you get everything out of there before if you chuck the packaging so you don't miss anything. But the Sky Cycle comes unassembled. There's no directions, but it's real simple. I'll build it on here so you guys can see, maybe if you have little ones that want to try and do it themselves. But you pretty much just take the Sky Cycle. There's a ball joint here and this piece, and then you're just gonna pop this in place. So we'll do this on camera. Actually, you know what? I think we do this top part up here first. This top part needs to go in. Yeah, and then so you latch this top part, and then this part pops into place here. And then as far as the shield, it just goes, well, if I could do this, it's not the easiest. Hold on a second. Yeah, so this just plugs in right here like that. So you have that clear shield, which is what it looked like in the comic as well. And then you have the stand here, which the stand goes like that, and then it's a ball joint. As you can see there, it just pops into place. I think it just pops into place. It's not one to pop. Oh man, that was really tough. I almost bent it. But yeah, so there it is. So that's kind of cool. So you can display that in your shelf if you want, looks really neat. And in the comic, eventually, I believe Stark, if I remember correctly, Stark builds him an updated version of this Sky Cycle. That comic I just showed you guys a couple minutes ago was the intro for this. Some agency he was working with built it for him. But let's look at the detail in the Sky Cycle, because it's kind of cool. There's like some almost like a greenish yellow paint scheme inside the turbines there. It was based off of a snowmobile, I think, if I remember correctly. Obviously, this isn't like a snowmobile, but I think they took a snowmobile and kind of built it around a snowmobile engine and parts like that. So kind of different. And then it's all plastic. It's all hard plastic, not painted. As you can see, there's some of that spiraling you get in the plastic, which a lot of people don't like. It is what it is. At the cost point, you're not going to get better quality plastic. But this thing's got some good weight to it. It's not light. There's the intake exhaust intake, air intake. These are supposed to be for hovering. It can hover. So yeah, it looks really good. Now, if you're into painting stuff, you could probably make this thing look a lot cooler with some dry brushing around the pipes, some dark, like it's been used and weathered. But you got to keep that dash nice and clear because that's how it looks. And then here's the figure. I didn't realize this is soft goods here. I fully expected like a type of like rubbery plastic, but this is soft goods for the loincloth. So that's kind of cool. And then I also didn't realize is that the quiver is plugged into his back. I didn't know that. So let's take a look at the quiver. Some nice detail. Again, the fletchings are painted red. You can tell he's got a lot of arrows in this thing. And then there's the quiver itself, just painted in that purple. So then that just goes over his back, plugs into his back like that. And then he's got arrows. It's important, and not important, but it's to note, in the comics, I believe, if I remember correctly, Hawkeye is a righty. He shoots right-handed. Whereas in the movies, the actor, boy, I forget his name, Jeremy Renner, he's a lefty. If you notice in the movies, he shoots left-handed. And I think that's because Jeremy Renner is left-handed. But I believe Hawkeye shoots right-handed. So that's why he went the quiver over his right shoulder so he can draw the arrow. He can draw the arrow back with this hand right here. As you can see, that's kind of like what he's doing with his hand right here. So you can make it look like he's drawing an arrow out of his quiver. That's kind of cool. Pretty neat. You can do something like that with that. Yeah, but overall, he looks pretty good. Paint apps aren't bad. Again, this is an older figure. I think from 2023 it came out. I don't know why, but I feel like the H was always white. Maybe I'm thinking Captain America. But yeah, the H is not painted, but he has the cool mask here. Now, I've got some black on mine. I don't know how that happened. It's been in packaging for a couple years, so maybe something melted onto it. It was all that paper packaging, so I don't know, but I got a little bit of a black mark on mine, almost like it's had a match to it or something. But he has that cool scale mail look, which I love for the classic look. And these armbands do move. As you can see, they fall down, so they're kind of rubbery plastic. You got to push them up onto his bicep, which I'm not a fan of that. I wish that would have been molded, honestly, because they're going to be constantly falling down. That's just what happens with stuff like this. So I wish that would have been molded on instead of what we got. But I'm nitpicking at this point. So articulation, let me zoom back a little bit. Head is on a ball joint. He can look up really good. He can look down really good. So for an archer, that's important. He can look all different ways. Arms go up 90 as typical Marvel Legends. And then bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, but that's as far as you get because you got these bracers or this band around his bicep. And then ball hinge wrist pegs. And boy, he is buff, isn't he? Check out Hawkeye. He is buff. But yeah, these bands keep falling down. That's just annoying. And then the articulation in the stomach is on that joint that Marvel likes to, or Hasbro likes to use. And it works really well. It's good. And when you pull him up, he's painted underneath, so that's good. And then twist at the waist. And then legs, typical Marvel Legends, go up 90. There is a thigh cut, which is really loose. And then double jointed knees, which mine appears to be stuck right here. As you can see, this is pinless. You don't see the pins in the knees. So this is even though this figure is a couple years older, I think maybe around 2023 they started doing pinless joints, which is nice. And then there is a swivel at the boot, and then your typical Marvel Legends, foot there, which gives you great rocker. And my feet are not stuck out of package, which is nice. A lot of times those feet you got to heat up with a hair dryer. Let's see if we can get this leg to bend though. A lot of times with these pinless, they don't want to move. Yeah, see, I'm afraid to push that. It's not wanting to go. Both knees are stuck up top by the thigh. So I'll take a hair dryer to that to loosen them up at some point. But yeah, pretty good, typical Marvel Legends articulation. And then he comes with a couple extra hands, and then the bow and one arrow that you can actually place in the bow. So that's going to be kind of the thing here. Can we get him drawing back his bow? That's going to be something of a challenge probably, but we will give it a shot. So let's go ahead and do some poses with this thing. Okay, and it's per typical with bow and arrow figures. It's really janky to try and get him to actually draw the bow back. The pictures show him doing it, and you probably can. This is all rubbery plastic, and it doesn't want to stay. So I go to pull this arm out straight, like he's going to be pulling the bow back. Really got to get this arm up higher. I used to shoot, so I kind of know. But see, it just doesn't want to stay. Because it's just, if this would have been a string, like an elastic string would have worked better, I think, than this just being a thick rubbery piece of plastic for the string. Because you can't get the arm out. If you get the arm out, that's how it should look for the most part. I mean, you get his head down a little bit, kind of like this, but the arm doesn't want to stay out because of this plastic. So I don't know that you can get, unless you maybe use a hair dryer to really heat this thing up and loosen it. I just don't think you can keep it like that, because it wants to spring the arm back. Unless the arm goes down. Oh, let's try something. Let me try putting this arm joint down. Let me try this off camera. Yeah, even still, it still doesn't want to do it. It's too bad you can't leave him in a pose like this. Man, that would be so awesome. Yeah, it's kind of typical. So let's try and do a different pose here for him. Okay, and that's about as cool as I can make it look with the arrow not falling off. It's barely in his right hand. He's knocking it onto the bowstring and drawing the bow back. So I mean, that's a cool look. It looks neat. It's just you can't get a full draw on the bow, which if you can, let me know in the comments, because I'm having a heck of a time trying to do that. But regardless, I mean, this, it looks good aesthetically, I think. Apart from the bowstring being way too huge in real life. I think a elastic string would have been better, although it might have wore out over time. I'm not fully convinced that this won't pull off being plastic. It's so rubbery. But for a couple shots here or there, not too shabby. Let's try another pose. Here's another cool one of Hawkeye. Wow. Sorry about that, one of my lights fell. But here's a cool picture, a shot of Hawkeye pulling an arrow out of his quiver, getting ready to shoot some punk. And as you can see, there's actually an arrow that's up higher, like he's supposed to be. That's what it's designed for, be pulling that arrow out of his quiver. So that's pretty cool they do that. And then here's the arrow that I was using before. Yeah, just kind of like a broadhead type look, or some sort of like typical arrow. And then he has also two fists, which with Hawkeye, you're not going to use fists too often. But yeah, pretty cool. Let's get a shot of him riding his Sky Cycle now. All right, here's Hawkeye on his Sky Cycle. He fits on really good. Hands fit on no problem. And if you want to put the bow, you can hang the bow over his arm, across his chest like that if you want. But I think aesthetically this looks better. The bow is not my favorite. It's kind of cheap looking. I don't care for it too much. But I mean, obviously I'm glad he came with a bow. But yeah, looks really good. Sky Cycle looks good. Very cool. Do a close up here. The engine, turbines. And the fact that his loincloth is soft goods makes it easier for him to sit on the seat. If it was rubbery plastic, it probably would work still, but it just might not fall as natural. So it's kind of cool that they did that. Very cool. Let's do some comparisons. All right, here's a classic Hawkeye next to a classic Captain America and classic Iron Man. Both those two from the Secret Wars line from Hasbro. And boy, I think, man, I just love, and I said it before, I love the classic look for these characters. Typical 80s, look. Stuff I grew up with as a kid. Very cool. Let's do a couple more comparisons. All right, then I threw a couple villains in, Doctor Doom on the left and Kang on the right. Both also Marvel Legends figures as well. So really cool seeing this lineup. I got a couple more Marvel figures still to review in Wolverine and Spider-Man from Secret Wars. So we'll add even more greatness to this collection. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts. It's a pretty cool set for $26. The figure plus the Sky Cycle. I mean, typically the figures alone are almost that price, 25 bucks. So getting that plus the Sky Cycle marked off, quite a bit. Now, I will say I got this from BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store. I got it a couple weeks ago, and it was $26 at the time. It's since sold out, but Amazon has it for 40 bucks as of this review in March of 2025. And that price could change. But man, for $26, I'm so glad I got it because super cool look. One of my favorite, guys of all time. And I just absolutely love that he comes with the Sky Cycle from that series that I grew up with as a kid. Just wanted to share one more thing because, again, this is about nostalgia for me. And as you can see here, this is the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, Volume 3, Galactus to Kang. And this is from, I think 86, or I don't know what year this is from. Let's see if I can find it real quick. But I've had this since I was a kid. 89. This says 89. So I've had this since I was a kid, and I used to always pore over this, and especially Hawkeye. I just loved him so much. I guess the bow is accurate being yellow, but one of the pictures I loved as a kid is the breakdown of his quiver. And I remember in the Avengers movie that came out, 2012, how Clint was pushing buttons on his bow to figure out which arrow to pick. It made me always think of this because he had a whole different arsenal of weapons, of arrows to use. And every time I saw that in Avengers, where you push that button and a new arrow came out, a certain type, reminding me of this picture right here. So super cool that we get this detail from this book. And again, 89, and this thing's old. This is the only one I have. I don't have any other ones, but as you can see, they made a couple other as well. So super cool. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about these figures, about Hawkeye and his Sky Cycle. And until next time, this has been Marvel Legends, Hasbro Marvel Legends, Hawkeye and his Sky Cycle. Thanks for watching.